How does this sound?
You're still low.
I can still hear you.
I can hear him fine. He's just not as loud as he usually is.
Allegedly.
This is how it is. 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 Today on Pop Culture Minefield. This is how it is. Today.
Oh my god! That scene from E.T.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that that's the scene that was used in the movie E.T., the Extraterrestrial, a film that I loathe, but what the heck?
I never finished it.
I never started it.
So, 3 soulless
Well-
people with me today. Okay.
Yes.
I rented it back when I was living close to a video rental store, and I've always had problems sleeping. So my nighttime ritual would go when I was going home. I would walk past that and rent 2 VHS, sometimes 3, so I would have something to watch because I didn't have TV. And E.T. was one of the movies I rented, and I think I got about halfway through when I was like, "This is too stupid. I'm not going to finish this. I'm not that bored and sleepless to waste time on that."
Words of evil.
Shut up, Martin. Hey, Snort.
Hail Satan! Looks like Snorty is here. First one in the house. Hello, Snort. Hello. True fact, once again, if you ate a single bite of Snorted Poopus Cuber's liver, you would die.
Too much vitamin A.
You die
Too
long
much
before
vitamin.
you got to.
Well, if
Yeah,
he doesn't
right.
maul you. If he doesn't
Yes.
maul you first.
Yes.
If he offers it to you, don't take it. It's going to kill
Right.
you.
Would you like a bite of my liver? No, I don't. Oh yes, I am here, but Santa isn't. Burp. So it is middle of the week, hump day. In German, they are so creative with names, they call it Mittwoch,
Mittwoch, yeah.
which
Means
just
middle
means
of the week.
middle of the week. That's it. German term.
And it's not even
Germanic
the exact middle because it has 7 days and Mittwoch is the 3rd day. So,
You know, my favorite German name is for Thursday. I always love that one.
Why? Because it's named after Thor?
Yeah.
Donnerstag, yeah.
So it's Thursday.
Yeah, in German it's Donnerstag.
Well,
Donner means
yes,
thunder.
Donnerstag in German, which is the Germanic name for Thor.
Right.
But also in some cultures, they say Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask somebody from Southern Ireland to say Thursday, they would say Thursday. And then they would deny that they said Thursday.
Because they speak weird.
Yeah, the Irish are funny. Like I told you, Father Weems was like constantly. Let me go. See, is that here
Hi, Chief.
somewhere?
Hey, how you guys
Picture
doing? I
of
thought
it.
I'd just drop in and say hello. I'm actually preparing for my show, Briefing with the Chief. We're going to be talking anti-Semitism today, but I love this movie, and so I had to stop.
It is great.
What's not to love? I mean, I'm totally the last person watching and enjoying rom-coms, but this movie is so cute.
All right, what? You can't see it, but back there is an Irish flag sticking on my wall there, and obviously
Nice.
Patrick is my name. My son's name is Sean Patrick, so I'm a mutt, but we celebrated the Irish side of the roots of my family. Went to the Gaelic League every St. Patrick's Day. Used to go bar hopping when I was in high school. That was okay in Detroit. So, but yeah, I just love the movie. How you guys doing? I love the movie, and I'm just glad you guys are reviewing it. It's a great movie.
It's what we do. Talk about great
It
movies.
is. Thanks, Patrick. It's what we do, and you do it too. You have your own way of doing it, which I really like, is breaking down films about crime and law enforcement. And so it's like, it's kind of what I've always wanted to do with this channel is just to stop. I wanted to get away from all the negative shit. And because it's just so easy to talk shit, and I can spend all day. I do it on Twitter, the Twitter sphere. I'm on there. I do it on Facebook in our group too, just criticizing filmmakers today, that they're not real filmmakers, that these guys are activists. That's all they are. They don't know how to tell a story. In fact, I just introduced Anima to the show Landman. Have you watched it yet, Chief?
I have not. I have not. But I
You
will
should
say,
check it out. From a police officer's point of view, I would really like to know your perspective
what's
on
the
this
name of
show.
it again? Landman.
Landman. It's by Taylor Sheridan. He's back to his way of telling stories. He wrote and directed the first episode. He co-created the series. And
he learned from his mistakes,
got
and he's
Billy
actually
Bob
involved with it. It's not just his
so
name.
Billy Bob Thornton is great in this show.
I have to tell you, it's one of the fun things about doing my show is every now and then I stump Martine and I do a movie that he's never seen. And I think 12 Angry Men was one of them, right? Martine, I can't remember. Yeah, and he really, he goes, wow, that was a good movie. And there's so much in that genre, crime and criminal justice. There's so many really good movies. I think even The Incident, one of the first ones I did that kind of emulated the Daniel Penny case. There's so much out there, so many good movies, and a lot of them go way back before we were all born. But good stuff, good movie making, and not a lot of the CGI stuff or stunts and all that junk. It's just good character actors doing their craft.
Yeah, there's a film that you ought to watch sometime, and I would love to see you cover it, is Billy Bob's first major film, and I just forgot the name of it. I have to look it up.
Is that Sling Blade or?
No, it's before that. Billy Bob Thornton. Let me look it up on IMDb. He did it back I was in the Army when it came out, so I need to go back to the early 90s.
Yeah, he's got a few good out there that are the crime genre there, and I don't think I've done a movie with him yet. I think next week my goal is to do Die Hard 3. I was going to do the whole series, but I don't think I'll get through them all before the holiday. Because I hadn't really done much on Bruce Willis either. So, but it's I'll get there eventually. I will tell you, I'll have to talk to you offline. I've been offered an opportunity on another podcast that might present an opportunity for you guys too. So, but I can talk to you about that.
Let me know if it's something interesting. Here is the film. It's called One False Move. It's got a great cast. It's got Bill Paxton as a local cop, and a bunch of criminals commit a major crime in California and head towards Texarkana. And Bill Paxton's a local chief, and he's got to deal with this crime. And it's got great freaking, look at this cast. You got Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, Michael Beach is a great actor. Cindy Williams is really good. That's a name people probably don't know, but I know her work. It just, what a great character-driven story, and he's having a relationship with Billy Bob in the story, and she is kind of an instigator of problems within the story.
Oh,
And,
those
yeah,
women. It's always
I'm-
the case. Those
Good film.
ladies.
And I just would love to get your opinion on that, and maybe you might want to cover it sometime, because it really does deal with small town law and the how far over the line you can do things, or how far over the line will you allow things.
Yeah,
to
the
happen.
gray area. The gray area,
It's
right?
that gray area.
That
And
gray
that's
area.
what this film is all about, is the gray areas and how certain characters make decisions that are, I mean, it's tough to explain. I don't want to put too much into it before you see it. But
All right,
I
well,
really did like the way the film worked.
I got to let you go because I got to finish doing some research for my show, Briefing with the Chief. We're going to talk about anti-Semitism today. It's going to be a great show. And this is actually
Outstanding.
my anniversary.
That's over on KGRA.
Yeah, KGRA. Yeah, I'm going to have a guy. He created 3 different syndicated news broadcasts, and he's going to be on my show today. And he was a diplomat for Israel for a while, so it'll be a good show.
I have a friend of mine that does shows with us, Mephisto, and he is, of course, he served in the IDF, and he lives in Tel Aviv, and interesting person to talk to about cultural Judaism in particular.
Yeah,
because he's agnostic like me, and so he tends to not want to talk about religion, but he talks about what it's like living there.
It's a lot of there's a lot of anti-Semitism going on in the U.S. these days, and it's coming from the left, and most people equate it to the right, but it really is really strong and out of control on the left. And we'll probably end up talking about that, and then maybe grab some headlines.
Well, ironically, a lot of them don't know, Chief, that fascism came from the ultra left.
Yeah, most of the
Marxists.
KKK were Democrats.
Yeah. Marxism was started by Mussolini, really, modern Marxism.
Yeah.
And he was a socialist, as was good old Adolf.
Yeah.
And they were both fascist.
Why should we bother to look back for history for accuracy, right? Let's just,
no, there's no way. My funniest fight I ever got into, an argument with somebody online, they said, they were not socialists. I said, it's in their fucking name, dipshit.
The Nationalist Socialist Workers Party.
Yeah. Come on. It's like nobody does research anymore. They just look at bullet points and follow religiously whatever the bullet points are. So read a book, get a life, get a job.
Well, you guys have a good stretch of the legs as you guys.
You too, my friend.
Go through The Quiet Man. Great movie. Have a good time. Okay.
Thanks a lot, my friend. I'll talk to you later, man. I love the Chief. He's a cool dude. Knowledgeable dude. I've tried to talk him into running it for office in California. I'm like, they need you, man. They really do. He's such a straight shooter and he knows his shit. So we got 10 watching right now. Let's see. Snortapoopa seems to be the only person other than us in the chat. I don't know. People love The Quiet Man. I fucking love this movie. I don't know why more people aren't interested in this. It is a great film.
I think younger people don't like older films, and one of the reasons I think is pacing. Now, this was shot in
Oh, it's
They
not
don't
fast
know them.
enough for him.
right. It's not.
No,
it
I
doesn't
think they
move
don't even
fast
get the
enough.
chance to know old movies because new movies come out all the time and they are pressured to watch it because they get overhyped. So they feel like they have to watch this and they don't even think about probably going back and watching old classics. Because I introduced my own brother to movies that were made before he was born, my youngest one, Flo. Gary met him. And he loves them. And he told me more than once, I would never have thought about watching this movie, but holy shit, that's good. And he's a kid of the 90s. I showed him movies from the 60s and 70s. So I wouldn't say they don't work for young people. I would say young people don't have the knowledge of these movies being there and watching them.
Well, it's that. Plus, I do believe pacing is a problem for young people. They're used to fast edits, quicker scenes, and these are films made by master filmmakers that are there to tell a story and
Storytellers, yeah.
build character development, character arcs.
They're
'Cause, like,
usually
in
an
this
hour
one,
and a half, though. And modern movies
you
can
don't
be
even
2 hours
know.
and fucking long.
You don't even know the backstory of John Wayne's character, Sean Thornton. You don't know his background until almost 3/4 through the film. You finally, he gets knocked out by a sucker
Yes.
punch.
Yeah.
And he's laying there and he has the flashback while he's knocked out of what led him to come to Ireland and give up his life as a professional fighter.
I
You
was
know, that
surprised
he-
they back then.
Yeah,
It was
and
this intro so late.
no, I like that though, because
I
you
did
get to
too.
know the
I
character
was-
before you learn their history.
I was surprised that they did it in the 50s. That nobody said, yeah, no, that's not going to work. We need to
Well,
do this.
this is a film that,
differently.
as you know, John Ford carried around for a couple decades.
Yeah, he
Studios
left
weren't
funding.
interested in this film.
Yeah.
And in fact, as you know, he expected this to be his last movie. It was going to be his swan song. He referred to it as his swan song. But he ended up directing all the way up into the early 60s. I think 63 was his last film. And but I consider this probably his second greatest film ever made. I consider it one of the greatest films ever made, period. But I consider it his second greatest film, only to The Searchers, because I consider The Searchers his greatest film. And this one comes in a close second.
Well, one interesting thing when you talk about pacing, there's a couple of things. As you said, Ford carried this around for a long time. He finally got Republic to agree to do it, and they signed him to a 3-picture deal. But they said, first of all, you're going to have to make a Western that makes money, because I don't think this
Rio
silly little
Grande.
Irish story.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Rio Grande.
Rio Grande
And
made tons of money.
with John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara.
He's in
And
there.
they
She
said,
was his
okay.
love interest.
Yes. So they said, okay, you can make this film. But he told Ford, you have an absolute hard limit on the film length of 2 hours. And Ford cut and cut and cut and cut and got the film down to 2 hours and 9 minutes, and he couldn't come up with any way of cutting anything else out. So when he first screened it for the Republic executives, he showed them the film, and when it came to 2 hours, he stopped the film.
Which is
right
just
before the
when
big...
that epic fight started. Yeah.
Exactly. Right before
Because
the
you
fight
could-
started.
That was so
And
neat.
he said, I can't cut anything else out of this film. And the head of Republic Pictures said, all right, you can go longer. And the film to this day is 2 hours and 9 minutes long.
Because they wanted to see the fight. And he told them, yeah, you said 2 hours, that this is all I could do. Just end it here. Of course they wanted to see the fight. Now
It was very clever.
brilliant. Yeah.
It was very
It
clever.
was. Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah, this was a difficult film for John Ford to get made.
Well, it was a bitch to get the cameras from London, the huge Technicolor cameras, and the team to work them.
Yep.
And it was one of the first studio pictures to shoot overseas, because I think it was the first. Because what the studio was known for doing, even when he did his film, and what's important about his last film as a civilian was the Welsh one. I just forgot the name of it. How Green Is My Valley. It's not shot in Wales. It was shot in California, the entire film. And
Right.
Many of the interiors and location shots were studio or in California.
Well, same
And
for this one, though.
It's a gorgeous film. Don't get me wrong, because that is a great film. But it was his last film as a civilian. He immediately left set and went right straight back into the military to make film for the U.S. Department of Defense. And in fact, one of his first films was the Battle of Midway, where he was there in the thick of it. He was on the island as well as out on the ship. People don't know one thing, because he's known for wearing that black patch over his eye. He actually had his eye. He still had his eyeball, but it was blind. And it actually happened because of an accident that took place years before on the movie set, that later crept up and cost him his vision. And rather than deal with the eye, he just put a patch over it. He didn't want to have people seeing his dead eye.
A patch is over his glasses in that clip that we watched.
Yeah, he did that first, actually. He would put the blacked out lens. But yeah, there was a test with that movie, Rio Grande, as far as the chemistry between Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne. And they had sparks.
Yeah.
It's there. In fact, she, all the way to her death, she was there trying to make a special John Wayne Day, and that you should have commemorative stuff to John Wayne. And she fought till her death because, you know, how he stood for America in so many ways. But I got to tell this story. While he was making John Ford's first movie after the film, what was that movie called? Hold on, I just forgot the name of it. It's In Danger's Way or something. Crap. I hate this.
What?
That's okay.
The film he made right after World War II, and he got back. It was 47. It was a Navy film. Trying to find it. Oh my goodness. Going through. People can talk while I'm doing stuff.
I think just because they liked each other so much, John Wayne got away with dragging her through the meadow because there was a lot of sheep shit in that meadow, and he dragged.
That was also funny to John Ford. He allowed.
Yeah.
They talked about cleaning it up, and he's like, "No, don't clean off the manure. Let her be dragged through it."
I've read a different account that John Wayne convinced John Ford to add all of the sheep droppings they could find to the hill. And so they were kicking droppings onto the hill where she'd be dragged down on her front, on her face. And she saw them doing it. So she and somebody else kicked it all off. And Ford and Wayne kicked it all back on. And this went back and forth and back and forth. Well,
I'm basing mine off of what Leonard Maltin talked about.
We watched an interview, yeah.
Well, he also wrote about, that's why he did the documentary, is because he did the extensive writing on the making of the film, because he interviewed everybody that was involved. But it's funny either way that she did get dragged through sheep shit. Now, this is a film that Ford made after World War II. It was his first civilian film after the war ended. And it was called They Were Expendable. And during the making of the film, pretty early on, right from the get-go, he was brutal to John Wayne, because John Wayne didn't serve. And he outright called him a coward.
Yeah, but he had valid reasons. Like, he had all these kids and was the sole breadwinner for them.
Yeah, well, don't explain that to Don Ecker, because he will get even more. Because he says a lot of married, fathers went to war. What made John Wayne so special? And so basically, and you know what? John Wayne probably would have never seen a day of combat. He would have ended up doing war pictures for the military, which he would have loved doing. It's what's so ridiculous about it. And he bore a lot of shame over the fact that he didn't serve. It led to him in a toilet. He was crying. And one of his co-stars came in there because he said, "I'm surrounded by all these men that have fought in combat, and I'm playing their leader." And and the guy says, "Get your head out of your ass and go out there, because right now they're just actors. Go do your job and stop fretting over shit like that." And Montgomery, Robert Montgomery, that's Elizabeth Montgomery's father that started this with John Wayne, basically had to confront Ford on the set, because Ford was berating Wayne, constantly calling him coward. Play a tough guy. That's it. Play a tough guy. Not a real one in real life. And Ford wouldn't do shit. He would fight anybody on this planet but John Ford. John Ford was, in his opinion, that was my dad. He saw John Ford as his father. And he had a very tight relationship with him, father and son type relationship. And it wasn't always pretty. But Montgomery confronted him and said, "Hey, man, what you're doing That's not for the betterment of this picture. It's your personal envy and anger. It doesn't belong here. You're hurting the film. And so it made him very emotional. And then he just stopped doing it. And he worked with John Wayne till his death. Stayed close to John Wayne. And he died in 1973, if you didn't know that. John Ford.
Yeah.
And he died 3 years before Wayne. Wait, what's going on here? What's this? Paul Smith. By the way, hi, Paul. Absolute bollocks. Hitler and Mussolini were never socialists, by the way. The Quiet Man is one of my favorite. It's in their fucking name.
National Socialists, yeah.
They absolutely were. They do the exact same thing that all socialists do.
Okay, Mussolini was a leading Italian communist and didn't like the internationalist aspect of communism. So he decided to create socialism in one country, which he decided to call fascism. So sorry, your history teacher lied to you because she was trained by communists herself.
Not only that, Richard. Mussolini had the realization that people do not accept socialism by their free will. So he modified it around and created the tenets of the fascism with the
classic
censorship,
fascism.
Censorship and military control.
Yep.
Yes.
Because he said we as a species are never going to attain socialism. The best thing we had is this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
An idea so good you have to put people in jail or shoot them to make them comply with it.
Yeah, it's what England's doing right now. They're not shooting them yet, but they're putting them in prisons where there are Islamic criminal groups that are running the ground floor. And that's why that minister died over there of starvation, because he was terrified to eat, that they were going to poison him anyway. And so he ended up dying from starvation. So socialism, isn't it great? So They Were Expendable is a great war film that we probably will cover on Military Monday, because it is a solid film. John Ford it's hard for him to make a bad movie. It really is. Eastland Burkholder, glad you're here, even if you are a few minutes late. Don't worry about it. You can always rewind it and play it fast. That's what I do when I'm late to a show, watching it.
And we haven't even started the slideshow yet, right?
Yes, we did.
It's coming.
Oh. Well, we should go
There
back.
were save your babies for the dads. My dad was supposedly timed to save my granddad from the draft. I've heard stuff like that before. So that's Barry Fitzgerald. Barry Fitzgerald was already an award-winning actor in the United States when he got to go back home to Ireland to do this movie. A lot of the people involved with this film, there's nepotism all over the place. You had the Fords and the Waynes heavily involved with this film, as well as Maureen O'Hara's brother is in it. He plays one of the young ministers in the film.
Well, wait a minute. John Ford's older brother plays the village elder.
Yes.
Who gets off of his
beard.
literal
And that's not a real beard. It's not a real beard.
No, it's not. But the point is that his older brother brought John into the film business. His older brother was a very, very successful actor in the 1920s, and he brought John Ford into the film business. And at the end, towards the end of his life, he only died like 3 years after this film was made. The older brother did.
Yeah,
Ford gave him a role in this film as a way of saying thank you for getting me into this business. And it wasn't John Wayne's idea that his children be in the movie with Maureen O'Hara before the horse race. That was John Ford's idea. So he put them in and gave them lines. So I don't know about nepotism. I think that's a bit much.
I think nepotism isn't bad in my opinion most of the time. I think that when you've got talented family, don't ever misunderstand me like that. No, it is nepotism. It is. It is what it is. It is nepotism, but I think it works. I think it's cute. The scene during the race where all the kids sitting around Maureen O'Hara were family members of
Yes.
the people involved with the film. Patrick
full
Wayne,
disclosure.
Michael Wayne were all in it.
Yeah. Full disclosure, Gary, I have never heard the word nepotism used before with a positive context or neutral context. That's why I said what I did.
I do it. I worked with my family. There's tons of nepotism in that. I'm not being critical of
Okay.
hiring
I
family,
didn't
but it is
understand
what, if you hire family for your film, get them involved with your film, no matter what, that's still nepotism. It's a form
Speaking of
nepotism.
family, O'Hara had two brothers in this.
I knew the one brother. He plays one of the ministers in it.
Father Paul, that's James
yeah,
O'Hara,
Father Paul.
and Charles Fitzsimmons plays Hugh Forbes.
Oh man, yeah.
Two
Well,
brothers.
this guy, not the him, Micheline and the Protestant minister
that guy.
were brothers.
Yes.
They were both Protestants from Ireland. Micheline, of course, plays a Catholic. His brother played the Protestant minister, which I thought was funny because they don't look anything like each other.
Well, there's
Really,
another.
he's one of my favorite characters. I love that dude.
There's
Oh,
another young man in this film whose family. This is like a family film in so many ways, and I'm not kidding. It is literally a family film. McLaughlin's son is in it too, and they got Maltin got to interview him about his dad because he's also one of the kids. McLaughlin is known for having a boxer's face because in reality, Victor McLaughlin was a fucking boxer before World War I. He was fucking boxing. That's why he's got a boxer's face. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes. Danaher.
Just in case. Yes.
And by the way, he was so basically ill and frail. Victor McLaughlin, yeah. He was so old. He was so ill and frail that they had to choreograph the fight scene very carefully so as not to hurt him.
Yeah, you could tell he was arthritic doing the scenes because he holds his arms differently at certain scenes. So
makes it even funnier.
This is a film that, because I think Ford always saw McLaughlin as the brother, and it would have been better if they had gotten to work 10 years earlier. But the studio system wouldn't do it. They wouldn't make this movie. They did not think that it was interesting to people.
Well, they were wrong.
Yeah, it's so weird looking back. How could they think that? Great.
I wholly agree. And I love the scenes of her in this film because there were more scenes that were shot, but they ended up being cut. Like there's a whole scene where Barry Fitzgerald talks with the other priest, the fisherman. I just forgot his name. Ward Bond. Ward Bond is also one of the few actors in this film playing an Irishman that doesn't have an Irish accent. He's not from there. But in real life, he was close friends with John Ford, but he was also John Wayne's best friend. And they were very close friends. And Wayne was devastated while making Wagon Train, the TV series, that Ward Bond died in, I think, the third or fourth season. And it just broke him. By the way, Pat Cohen Bar, that's not the actual name of the pub, but because of this movie, they kept that name, and that pub is still there to this day.
Well, it wasn't a pub when they made the movie. It was a shop. No, I can't remember what sort of things they were specialized into. But now it is a pub, and every from opening to closing, supposedly they are playing the movie in continuous play.
Here it is. Here it is. This is the actual place. This is a recent photograph. And this is what I love about Ireland. You start talking about John Wayne in Ireland or John Ford, and you'll hear someone just like start talking. Because so many of them, when I was a kid, were still around when they made the film. And, oh, they were great. They were great, don't you know? Oh, and this is one of the few films where Barry Fitzgerald actually used his proper accent, because too often he used a Hollywood version of his accent in many of the films, the Bells of St. Mary's, all those films that he was involved with. And he'd get really high up there and he'd be talking. But then in this film, he lowers it a bit and he talks more normal and does what I've told many of my Irish friends, including Father Gerald T. Weems from Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, that they don't know how to say TH in Ireland. They just don't. Yeah, I'll see you around 3:30.
Yes.
I called him out on it, and he's like, "I'm not saying that." I'm like, "You were totally saying 3:30."
Yeah. When Michelin is completely in his cups, and he does a spoonerism of Sean Thornton's name. He calls him Ton Shorten.
Yeah, Con Shorten does it twice. He does it
Yes.
twice. And it's funny as hell. He does it a moment before and then again. And I love that. And then somebody corrects him. You mean Sean Thornton? Oh, yeah, Sean Thornton. But the Irish, they call him Sean Thornton. And I like the way they do that. This is a scene where he's trying to buy the property. And this is, of course, the lady that McLaughlin's character is madly in love with, Will Danaher. And they kind of shine him on, Barry's character and the priest shine him on to make him think that she's totally wanting to get married to him and everything. And so it leads to a huge breakdown in communication later when it's revealed in one moment, a very bad moment. And there's Victor. Look how big he is. He's such a giant of a man. And that dude was a fighter, bare knuckle boxing. Not the gloved shit. He was a bare knuckle fighter. That's why his ears and nose look the way they do. And his cheeks. Because a lot of people don't know that the more boxing you do, it alters not only your nose, but your cheeks as well as your ears.
Yep.
And so Danaher thinks he's going to get that property. But because Sean Thornton was actually born in Ireland, he has first dibs at it because it was his family's land. And they sell it back to him. A lot of green in this film.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the characters in the pub says to Danaher that of Thornton, he's got more right to that land than you do. And that really upsets Danaher.
Yep. So right off the bat, Danaher hates his guts.
Yes.
And then Sean Thornton has the audacity to fall in love with his sister. Now, I will point out that this village, at the time this film was made, did not have electricity. And it was shocking to the film crew that a village in modern Ireland wouldn't have power. And eventually power was brought to this town because of the making of the film, but it was so damned expensive that Ford and his crew told them, stop, we don't need this. We have our own generators. We can make our own electricity. But still, they were shocked that a village in 20th century Ireland wouldn't have electricity, and it didn't. It had running water, but they still used outhouses too at the time.
Yes. Well, that was true in the United States for a lot of places. The way I heard it was that the villagers didn't realize that when the film crew left, they'd have to pay for the electricity. So they told them, turn it off.
Yeah, just to tell you, because you're right about America, because where I'm from, where I was raised for about 3 years, was in Charleston, Illinois. And it was a farming community. And we had alleyways. And my brothers, before I was born, would take rope and tie it from one outhouse to another outhouse. And the dump truck would come through, hit the rope in that early dark morning where they couldn't see everything. And it would pull the outhouses down and break them. They were dirty little bastards, my siblings and their friends.
Well, that's a particularly unpleasant prank if somebody's using it at the time.
Right. And we used to play tag in the corn rows because back in the day, before they genetically altered corn had to be about 3 to 4 feet apart, the rows. So we would run between them and play tag and hide and seek and shit. The loud man, I don't even know.
Dude, we
real?
don't have genetically modified corn here, but they don't do the rows anymore. There was no way you could run to a field like you could in my childhood. They're so tightly sewn now to get as much out of the field.
There he is. That's John Ford's older brother right there. And that's a Hollywood beard and mustache. It's not real. And both Ford and Wayne were first generation Americans because their family were from Ireland. And by the way, if you weren't born in Ireland, but your parents were, you also have the right to own property in Ireland. Although I think they're starting to change over there to try to bring more people over so they can buy properties. Also, I should point out, Barry Fitzgerald's character is the town's matchmaker.
And has the best lines of the movie, if you ask
he does.
I agree.
And he plays Michaelin Flynn. And Flynn, and there's a scene that got cut out of the film very early on where Ward Bond's character stops the coach when he's coming into town from the train station. And he has a conversation with Flynn by himself that's offshot from Wayne, who's walking around, taking in the sight, smoking a cigarette. And it was money being put down on if he could get the two of them together, showing that there was actually a plot within the town for John Wayne's character to fall in love with Maureen O'Hara. And that he was unaware of it. And they had to make it look as natural as possible. And it adds a whole different layer to the film. But they cut it out. It's not in the film. It was one of the films that got cut down so they could get that 2-hour mark. Well, 2-hour and 9-minute mark. Which you find all the priests are betters in this movie, which is funny. And the Anglican minister. Which they showed. I thought that was interesting that they brought in an Anglican minister into the story. Played by, I think that was McLaughlin. Go look it up.
Who?
Arthur Shields, because he's related to somebody in the film, and I can't remember who it is. I got to look it up real quick. Oh,
I just found out that the old dude who is on his deathbed and then he jumps up and runs out on the street to see them fight is Ford's older brother. And that's neat.
He is the older brother. The Anglican minister is the older brother of Barry Fitzgerald. He plays Reverend Playfair. Once again, this is a family film. And it's something you can sit down and watch with your kids.
Absolutely.
So it's a family film, and it's also a family film.
They even took out one line when the dude sees the destroyed bed after their wedding night, where he throws her on the bed.
Oh, yeah, because they couldn't allow the
out.
censors.
Yeah.
The censors were like, I see you broke the bed. Yeah, that's definitely something the censors would have had a problem with.
They were married, but you couldn't have a sentence in there that implies that they had sex and broke the bed that way.
Right.
Stupid.
This is a great scene because
wait a minute.
They start the fight.
Scene, wait a minute. That whole bed scene with the broken bed and Micheline's comments was had to be removed to screen the film in Ohio. And when it was first shown in Boston, famous at the time for its censorship, it had to be censored.
Yep. So there you go. Anyway, so this scene is because they start to have a fight. And the priest steps in and says, we can't have that. this is a good night. This is an important night. And, you need to make him feel welcome. So, shake hands and be friends. So they spit on their hands, shake hands, and it leads to this competition between who has the stronger grip.
I hate the custom to spit in your hand before you shake it. I mean, shaking hands is gross enough as it is.
It is the least filthy thing known for the Irish.
Ew.
John Torton. I love this scene. I love pubs. They couldn't say Guinness, I guess, so they call it something else I've never heard of before.
Porter.
Porter.
Well, he calls it black beer.
Yeah, the bartender then says porter.
Why don't you give me one of those black beers?
Yes.
Porter it
And I
is.
found out
Porter it
something
is.
researching this. Back in that time, Guinness made 4 grades of stout, and the lowest grade was porter.
Ha, there you
the,
go.
And the highest grade was like, I don't know, they had class 1, 2, and 3. And porter was a working man's drink, and the high grade was middle class drink, middle class beverage. And eventually Guinness got their brewing process straightened out to the point where now all they make is their highest grade, but people still use
But
the
sadly
term
with less
porter.
alcohol.
Yeah, they
Right.
It used to be
downgraded
a-
the alcohol content.
Yes.
It used to be 11.5% when I was a kid. And now it's down to what they serve here in the United States, which is somewhere between 4 and 6.
Yes.
No, I
But
think
it's
it's even less
I've
than
often
normal.
heard,
2.4 or
'cause-
something.
yeah, well,
nothing.
that's near beer.
Yeah.
I'd heard that before that porter and stout were interchangeable, and finding out that porter was originally just a class of stout was really interesting to me because they are very similar. They're flavored mostly with the same things. So I just thought that
According
was
to
interesting.
the research, their alcohol content varies between 4.2% to 7.5, depending on
Huh.
the group that was brewed.
Yeah, I just found 4.2.
So apparently, if you get the right one, you can get it up as high as over 7%, which would make me happier. I wish they'd just make it 11.5 like they used to.
Well, anyway, you can tell it's Guinness by the foam every time you see their glasses. That's Guinness foam there.
Here's that moment right here. I love this romantic moment where he grabs her, kisses her, but then it ends up in an embrace. And she's going to slap him like he's going to
She
get hit.
snuck into his house. And I mean, yeah, with
that-
good intent to light the fire and stuff, but still, she snuck in there and then she tries to sneak out. Of course, he gets. I'm not offended. He just needs a reason to kiss her.
The first time he kissed her and she goes to slap him, he blocked, and it
Yep.
broke
Yeah.
her. She
Oh,
broke
she
her
broke
hand.
her hand. Yeah.
Yeah,
And she
and
couldn't, wear a
cast.
Poor girl.
Yep.
Also, I want to point out when she's leaving, comes back in and she kisses him, which I
Yes.
fucking love that. Yeah, she swung at him.
Oh yeah.
And he put his hand up to catch it, and the force of her hand hitting his meat paws fucking broke her hand. What is the sound of one hand slapping? Okay, Scribe.
Hello, Scribe.
Right.
Who knew this was a Zen movie?
Now, this was originally a short story that John Ford bought for $10 from the author. And he promised him that if I ever make this into a film, I'll make sure you get paid more. And I'm sure he took care of him because he was a man of his word.
I believe he paid. I saw this recently. It's in the trivia. I believe after the film got made, he paid the author $6,000 in addition.
Which is a lot of money back then.
That was a hell of a lot of money back then.
Yeah, it was. And but the writers that worked on this was first Frank Nugent, along with John Ford. And Frank Nugent wrote pretty much the first proper outline. And then Maurice Walsh was brought in to polish it up as a final script. So he wrote the shooting script. Absolutely. And by the way, I want to point out that, again, to save money, they built this cottage in the United States too at the studio.
Yep.
So it was built inside. So when you see exteriors, it's the real location, like real sunlight like that. That's the real cottage in Ireland. But they built one in Hollywood too for certain shots.
Yeah. Ruben Christopher Hayes said he wants a cottage like that. I got to tell you,
Everybody
wanna-
wants.
You don't, yeah, but you don't want to deal with a thatched roof. Oy.
Now, it's better to get the false thatch roof. It's fireproof.
Yeah.
It looks good too. It really does. It really looks like the real thing. Oh, Westmall Triple. Yeah, I bet that is good. But Guinness is my gig, man. My first drink when I was 13 years old was Guinness at an Irish pub, because the fella said that not only were we old enough to come inside, if we were tall enough to belly up to the bar, we could have Guinness or whatever we want to drink. You can have a beer. And of course, all of us went in there. There were 4 of us, and we went in. All of us had Guinness off tap. It was fucking amazing. And I got hammered on 1 pint. I was 13. Don't make fun of me. Thatch roof, less troublesome than rising damp or regular damp. Yeah, you always got to worry about that word that Anima hates, moisture.
Fuck off.
There's Anima. That's my woman right there. She really does remind me of Maureen O'Hara.
And I don't know, you would imagine that with a
I still don't
roof
see
like
that. I'm sorry.
in a roof like that, they may be one or another spider.
Oh, this is it
Yeah.
right here where he says thun shorten, isn't it?
Yes.
Says it twice here because he's fucking hammered. So what, unbeknownst to everybody in this story, Ward Bond's character and Barry's characters both were in on it, that they were trying to get these two together. Mary Kate Danaher.
She clearly has feelings for him.
Oh, she's like, the minute she saw him, she
Yeah.
did a double take, and that double take turned into a long glare.
Instant chemistry.
He's a tall drink of a man, as some would say. But they have to sign Danaher on to let this happen. So they make up a thing for Will Danaher that the woman he's in love with, the widow Sarah Tillane, is also interested in marrying him. We just got to take care of this first.
Yeah, because there can't be 2 women in the house. That's not going to work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So,
And she does like him. She just doesn't like when he jumps at her like that.
he jumped and decided for them without
Yeah.
asking her.
And made assumptions because he never asked her. And that annoyed her.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If it's not moisture, it's fire with thatch roofs. And again, I want to
That
point
and-
out that
That
she
that
was
and the
his love
wildlife.
interest, and the wildlife getting in. Maureen O'Hara got to play the love interest for John Wayne previously in Rio Grande, the film that if he hadn't made, this movie wouldn't have got made. And
Right.
because it got him the approval to make this film.
I think they had
And they
5
were
movies
very-
together.
They were tight on the budget. They said, this is how much you have. This is all you got. And then they were also hard about the 2 hours, and but sparks flew between these two. And I think there was a little bit of love between her and John Wayne, because who the fuck spends the rest of her life fighting for him?
I mean, they did 5 movies together. There were just a couple that worked.
They were, what's that called? Your work wife?
Yeah.
She was his work wife. How you can't see her when I look at you, I just don't understand that. I can see that with you.
She's way
Just shut up.
prettier than
Just shut
I
up.
am.
Everybody else is like telling you, you don't know what you're talking about because we've seen you. Yeah, it's like a cross between Maureen O'Hara and Eve Arden, who I think are 2 of the prettiest real redheads in Hollywood. Oh, look at the way she gives side eye, just like you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. I give you side eye like that.
And there she
Especially
goes,
when we
spitting in her
get-
hand and shaking his. She spits in her hand and shakes his hand. I'm
That is so
telling you, man.
gross.
When Jack Lemmon took the part, excuse me a second, I got to mute.
Okay.
I guess somebody walked into his room despite him having a sign on air
Yeah.
in his door now.
So here we are. So this is what leads to that scene. Have we had any breaches yet?
Not
No.
yet.
Come on, guys.
Because now I'm going to have to show the clip without it.
We need a breach so you can see our new clip.
Well, I'm going to
Not
play it
to be
anyway.
creative.
So here you go.
Give them a
This
chance.
is the funny part of it.
Here, Will. Put on your coat. Will, Danaher, they're coming to the front door.
Well, since when has the back door been not good enough?
I got so excited because I'm always on the lookout for backdoor clips, but we haven't spotted any in weeks now. And Venkman's girl likes it. Penny does too.
And by the way,
Hello, Penny.
the film that made Victor as an actor was a film called The Informer. And he plays somebody in Ireland who informs on some others for being in the IRA. And it's a great film, and John Ford directed it. And that's the film that put Victor McLaughlin on the map as an actor. And that's a great film. I wouldn't mind covering, but nobody would come to see the episode because I don't think anybody really remembers that movie. Hi, Penny. This is such a God, this scene. And unbeknownst to everybody in the room, there's so much subterfuge being created by Barry Fitzgerald's character.
Yeah.
Ooh, what was this? What was this to?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
This is considered one of John Wayne's best roles, and I would absolutely agree with that. But he said that this role of Sean Thornton was difficult for him. And the quote here is, "For 9 weeks, I was just playing straight man to those wonderful characters, and that's really hard."
Yeah, no breaches so far. I love these houses. I love this whole village. So some of the shooting locations were Ashford Castle, County Mayo, Ireland, Cong Village, County Mayo, Ireland, Ballyglennon Railway Station in Galway, Lettergish Beach in County Galway. The fucking names in Irish are and Scottish just as bad. Welsh is, oh my God, even Welsh is worse. Let's see. They ended up naming the bridge in the film to be called the Quiet Man Bridge.
Nice.
It's in Recess, County Galway. Thor Ballygee, County Galway. And the Whitemorn Cottage, which is in Tiernakill, County Galway.
I'm convinced that the government of Wales once instituted a tax on vowels. So everybody took the vowels out of their words. And when they
Vowels?
rescinded the tax,
Yeah,
when they
to
rescinded the
something.
tax, they just kept the habit.
And they notoriously double up consonants. You'll
Oh, yeah.
just see like
Especially
how do
L.
how do you pronounce 3 G's?
Yeah.
What is that fucking? What sound does that even make? There, that's one of the Wayne kids there.
Yes, you can tell with her face. That's
He is, as if I remember correctly, he is the mother of the Wayne that played Mandalorian, if I remember correctly, because he is the grandson of John Wayne. And by the way, she lost her name Wayne when she married, but and didn't hyphenate it. But her son took on the name Wayne, and I'm sure to the unpleasantness of his father.
Probably.
Leaving the dad's name aside. And by the way, there's a joke about the color that John Wayne paints the house door. And well, yeah, that's fine. That's a pretty color, but shouldn't you have painted it red? Everybody loves red here. And I'm assuming because red's it's on the opposite spectrum. Like the Joker, green and red. Nope.
Well, I can't speak for Ireland, but I can speak for New England. Front doors are very, very traditional.
And also a sign that place is haunted, according to M. Night Shyamalan.
Really?
Yeah, because in his movie, every time you see red, you're about to see a haunting scene.
Yeah, right.
It's a good movie. That's one of his good films.
No, I know, but the idea that means the house is haunted is ridiculous. In New England, it's like,
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Anytime you see the color red, it is just before a haunting scene. So
in his movies,
and they show a lot of red doors in that movie.
Oh, okay.
And that is Patrick Wayne, by the way. And I can't remember who that kid is. That's Patrick on the right there, and his sister to the left.
Yep.
And they are actually half Mexican, because John Wayne's wife, he loved Mexican women, man. He loved them, and he loved how devoutly Catholic they were, all of that. And so he married an Irishman, married this beautiful Mexican woman, and had a lot of kids with her. If you've never blown a bugle, it's a nightmare. I just I couldn't get it. It's like you're trying to spit into it with air.
Yeah, it's a very small mouthpiece.
Yeah, and you got to purse your lips a certain way to do it, and I couldn't do it. There he is. That's Barry Fitzgerald's brother right there. And I love this scene, the race. And they ask her, "Are you going to put your bonnet into the race?" She said, "Of course not. No, certainly not."
Yeah, it's up to you. By the way, John Wayne directed this scene because Ford was sick.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What happened to him?
He was sick. That's the info that I have. And so John Wayne went and directed the whole horse race.
And this is where it has a bit of a Western feel to it because of the horse race scene.
He's the only one not using an English saddle, by the way. He has an American one. I didn't know that.
Wayne? Yeah, he wouldn't know how to ride.
I read up on that.
He would get like fucking bad chafing trying to ride that thing. Because in English horse riding, the English saddle, you use your stirrups more than you do in Western riding.
It's the stirrups, it's the front part of the saddle, and then it's also the reins they use differently in American riding. So it would probably have been too much of a hassle for him to learn the English way.
Yeah, see, the flute I didn't have trouble with. I just didn't want to play the flute. when I was a kid.
Too many notes. I
I
tried.
cried.
couldn't, but
Well, I cried because I could, but I didn't want to, because I had my own drum. So like, why can't I play drums? Well, we have too many drums now. And so after a few days, I cried in during class, and I said something to the extent that I didn't just like I said, I don't want to play because it's gay. That's exactly what I said, and I just kept crying. So Mr. Jordan acquiesced and allowed me to play drums. Okay, thank you.
I couldn't figure out the flute, so I went and played the oboe like my dad, and that's a tricky bastard too. Also because you have to constantly work on the mouthpieces and make new ones because they're wooden, so they don't
Yeah.
hold that long. That's a
And
motherfucker. That's
it's
why I quit, because you can't play that instrument as a hobby. You need to fully commit to it, and I didn't have the
yeah,
time.
and it's a double reed.
Yeah.
I tried
Oh.
once. I took pity on everyone in the neighborhood and stopped after about 10 seconds.
I was really good. Also, I played the Viennese oboe, which is played in 3 orchestras worldwide, and they're all in Vienna. So it's not like you can buy those mouthpieces on the internet to save you time. You need to make them yourself. So yeah, too time consuming. I love playing though.
I should point out that my buddy Jim Woodward was there when I said that band, and his instrument of choice was the flute. When I said that a flute makes you gay, and he did. He was incensed that I said that. And that's Jim Woodward right there with his wife. He looks good in that uniform, damn it. He finally retired after 22 years. I love the stiffness of this scene.
That looks like a Norman Rockwell painting. Yes.
It does, yeah. And sometimes they're in the studio. In this shot here, they're out in real sunlight. And I personally think you can tell the difference every time they're in a studio and when they're
Absolutely, the symmetry
on
when it's
location.
raining at the exterior of the house, that
Doesn't
looks like
look
a
remotely
stage.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't look real.
looks like a stage in a theater, like a painting. It's nice to look at, though, but it's obviously a soundstage.
Well, this was in Technicolor, and getting the lights to be the right color temperature to match sunlight was difficult back in the day because they didn't have 15 different types of bulbs and things to adjust light balance with and color balance with.
Especially with daylight and those Technicolor cameras, that must have been a bitch.
Yeah.
And that was
exactly.
another thing that cost money too, because they wanted to shoot the film with a different color stock. It was cheaper.
True color.
And they wanted, True Color. They wanted this Technicolor.
Well,
All the way
John
from England.
Ford wanted Technicolor. The Studio Republic wanted because True Color was their color system.
Yeah, I know. And
they didn't want to spend the
it
money
didn't
on
look good.
Technicolor. Yeah.
If you
well,
watch
it
True
didn't.
Color, it doesn't look good.
Let's all be very, very thankful that this movie was shot in Technicolor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, and
And by the
make their
way,
escape.
I got to tell you that one of the things that I have commiserated over many a times with Graham Nolan is this film, because we are both big fans of it. We've talked about it many a time. And if you don't know who Graham Nolan is, you should look him up. He's a really good guy, great artist.
I love the horses used to stop at the bar.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
It always stops at the bar. Why wouldn't it stop at the bar today? You have more sense than I do. Yep.
So my sister Michelle has her birthday listed as December 1st when actually her birthday is in August, which I remember wishing her happy birthday in August. But it popped up in my calendar again. So I went ahead and I said it. And then my sister Susan pipes in. She goes, her birthday's in August. I don't know why she has it posted as December. I just laughed at her because I don't want to interact. That's it. I just want to say happy birthday. Don't have to have a big conversation about it. Oh, this scene where she takes her stockings off was so cute, and he kept looking away. How dare you look at those luscious legs?
Well, Mrs. Redshirt said, I'm pretty sure that taking her stockings off wasn't appropriate. And I said, back then they were silk stockings. And if you
did
got
not
them
want
wet
to put them in water.
if you got them wet, they were done.
Yeah.
They weren't cheap. There we go. Movie set. Obviously a movie set. That's at the RKO studio there in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Well, just
John
outside
Wayne
Los
was,
Angeles.
and Wayne was reportedly very unhappy with any of the exteriors that were shot at the studio, like this one.
Gary, check your messenger. Nothing like nylons. Oh well.
There they are, flashing the tungsten lights
Mm.
to make it look like lightning. And that's the shot that we used as the background.
And that's one of the rare occasions when you see green in one of the actors' wardrobe.
Also, it's a wet t-shirt contest with John Wayne there.
It is, yeah, but I think they didn't want to use green in the clothing to make the green in the landscape more obvious and pop out more. But everybody knows that one of the colors that look best on redheads is green. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Because it's on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh man, the dreadful look they have waiting for the picture.
That one is it by itself just cracked me up the first time I saw that. I want to pause that when we get back to it, just so everybody can really take in just how horrified they look.
I
About
mean,
to
it
get
just
married.
started back then to get your photo taken, and it was loud, and the flash went off, and it must have been scary.
Hey, Cam
Hi,
Cam. How are you? Look at them.
Anytime now, anytime now.
And
Yeah.
then when the flashes go, they jump.
Yeah. Because
But they
by
both
the
look-
way,
they-
this is made in the 50s, but that's not when this story takes place. It takes place in the 1910s, I think.
20s.
By the looks of the cars. Was it the 20s?
It was the 20s because he says prohibition. Ugh. Nicolene says that. He can't imagine going to the United States because there's prohibition.
Ah,
And but
that
yeah,
times it, yeah.
the Protestant this is another article I read. The Protestant minister's car is a 1923 something or other, and they said it looks pretty new, so it's probably mid to late 20s.
Man. And by the way, I didn't get to say it because everybody was talking. Hi, Cam Cam. Oh, man. Neri is doing a scene with his own brother. I think that's great.
Yeah. Victor McLaglen played a hell of an antagonist in this movie. Nobody liked him.
Well, the widow does.
Well, up to a point.
No, she loves him, but
Yeah.
she doesn't like him. That's a strange
Okay,
combination.
that's a good way to put it.
Well, there's that moment when she finally confides out loud. He loves watching him because he's a hell of a man. During the fight scene.
Yep.
And this is where he puts his foot in his mouth, and
Well,
the jig is up. The
yeah,
lie that
I mean,
they've been
ironically,
telling
he
him
makes the
about
same.
her.
He makes the same mistake for a different reason that Sean Thornton did with his sister. Makes an assumption that that he can't back up, and he needs to have done the process properly. He thought he'd short-circuited the whole courting business.
Yeah. So I got a black and white photo of that I want to share again. I laughed so hard when I saw their face the first time. I think I was about 9 when I watched this with my dad. It was also one of my dad's favorite films, and my grandfather loved it too. Even my grandmother was fond of this movie. I swear to God, the family would get around the TV like they were about to watch a football game or a baseball game to watch this movie if it was coming on.
Yep.
Oh, and that pisses John Wayne off when she gets on the ground to collect all those coins. It's my fortune. And that's where he gets sucker punched. And this is where we get the flashback of him in the ring. And the reason why he is the way he is and why he left America and boxing was because he killed this guy in the boxing ring. Hey, Wade. It breaks him.
And
I don't know if you've ever heard Joe Rogan. What?
Well, it breaks him, and it destroys any popularity he had as a boxer in the United States.
Yeah.
So he literally leaves the country.
So Joe Rogan talked about it one time because in his first competition, he did a spinning hook kick and caught the guy and just knocked him unconscious, did the snore and everything. But the guy, they couldn't bring him around. Tried smelling salts, they couldn't bring him around. It scared the shit out of him. And he went to his instructor and he told his instructor, what happened? He says, I heard you did well in the fight. And he goes, yeah, but I don't know what happened to the guy. He never got up there. They took him away in a gurney. And his teacher goes, sometimes they die.
Damn.
And then walked away. And it was just like, and that changed Joe Rogan's approach to full contact. It really had an impact on him. Sometimes they die. And it's like something that you just don't even consider or think about. Part of dental clinic just called me for some reason to confirm I have an appointment on Thursday, tomorrow.
And well, do you?
Yeah. But they were calling me and I'm not going to answer it.
They just want to make sure because they postponed it that you still have it on.
Now, a
your
lot
radar.
so a lot of people don't know what a spinet is.
I do.
It's a truncated piano.
It sounds
It's about
different.
yes, it's got a tinny sound to it.
Yeah.
It's the poor man's upright piano, as if the upright piano wasn't already the poor man's piano. The smaller version is the spinet.
Not just the poor man's. It was also used for travel because it doesn't take that much space, and it's not obviously easier to.
Yeah, it's
to
like
transport,
the
so,
size of a small organ
Yeah.
that you would play.
Right.
Not much bigger than a harpsichord.
Now
See,
that's
he
a good
cannot
instrument.
understand why she wants that. That is my dowry. It's mine. And he's like, I'm going to make enough for both of us. And he's thinking like that. And he's not understanding why that's important. And then she comments here, it is a beautiful place. She loves it.
He only sees the dowry as material possessions. Oh my God. Her dowry has another significance to her that transcends
Because it was
the
handed
material
down.
value.
Because it was handed down her family from her mother. Her mother. Don't touch me. You have no right. What do you mean, no right? I'll wear your ring. I'll cook your meals. Cook and wash. I'm the servant I've always been without anything of my own. And this is when she goes into the bedroom and locks the door. And he kicks that door down and says this great line. He walks up to her. He says, there'll be no locked doors between us. And kisses her hard, then scoops her up in his arms and then throws her on the bed and breaks the bed with it, throwing her, and then goes in the other room. He calls her, what does he say? He says, calls her something heart, like not a pirate heart, but something like that. Mercenary heart. Mercenary.
Yeah. He's equating her desire for her dowry with her brother's desire for money.
Yeah. And
He
it's a
doesn't
huge mistake
understand the
that he
difference.
makes.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the difference.
Except those in your own mercenary heart. I fucking love that line. He throws her on that goddamn bed. It breaks it. And then the next day, the scene that got cut is they see the broken bed. They think something else.
Impetuous. Homeric.
Sleeping in a sleeping bag. And
I was going to say, there's the infamous sleeping bag.
yeah, and then she confronts the priest over it. And she's like, she's having trouble saying it. She goes, can I say it in the old Irish, Gaelic? And whatever he's fishing, he's focused on his fishing, and she starts talking, and he turns and looks at her when she says sleeping bag, and it's so fucking funny. Oh, and this scene led to a moment
sleeping bag
too,
with buttons, Gary. Don't forget the buttons.
Buttons. And this scene is great because when they originally showed up on set for this scene, was it the second or first AD says they're wearing the wrong clothes. They should be wearing the clothes from the wedding because they've been out drinking all night. Yes. They've not changed. They've not gone home. And so he brings that up to John Ford, and John Ford brings out a blank piece of paper, like it's got something on it, looks in and goes, yep, I wrote that down myself. And made him go change clothes. I thought that was funny that he wasn't going to let even though the first or second AD that said there was nothing on that paper, it's blank. I could see there was nothing on there. And this is the movie set. This isn't the location. And you can tell by the backdrop.
Yeah.
Although I will say it rains an inordinate amount in England and Ireland. My trip was ruined because I never got to see the White Cliffs of Dover. I went there 3 times, and all 3 times it was fog and rain.
That's why whenever the sun comes out, they all are out in their shorts and tank tops and getting sunburned like crazy. Because, you know, when 2 English people talk and one says, remember last summer, the other one is going to say, yeah, I think it was a Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been to England, but I've been to Seattle, and I was there on a contract for 3 months. And one day I came into work. It was a bright sunny day, 68 degrees, and there was only one person left in the entire building. And I said to him, "Where is everybody?" He says, "Out enjoying the sunshine." I'm like, "Everybody just leaves?" Yep.
There it is. It was my mother's and my mother's mother's before. And she's trying to explain the importance and significance of this. That's what's important to her, is that they belong to her. They're her right. It has nothing to do with value. It has to do with, you know,
Principles.
yeah, principles,
Give me what's mine.
self-respect.
Yeah.
It has sentimental value, which he can't replace
Transcends
by buying.
monetary, yeah.
Right.
He
He
can't-
can't replace
he's
by
not getting-
buying her new things. She wants her old things that were passed down from
There it is.
through her family.
There it
Impetuous.
is.
Homeric.
Yes.
And then the movie jumps.
He's easily my favorite character in this movie.
Oh yeah. She's very strict about following the rules. So even though she wants to marry him without her brother's consent, she can't and she won't. But she's doing everything right, and her brother is still holding back what belongs to her once she's married off. So of course that pisses her off. By the way, she did her own singing in this movie, and I think it's impressive. She has a good voice.
Yes. That was rare back then.
There's a lot of music in this.
Yeah. Most people got dubbed.
Not her.
No, not her. Nope. Now, am I remembering correctly? But Sean Thornton's family at this cottage, it was either his mother or his father, grew the most.
It was his
beautiful
mother and his father,
roses.
his whole family. Yeah, the roses.
The
And
roses.
he was actually a child there because Barry Fitzgerald's character babysat him when he was little.
Yes. No, I know. I'm saying the reason he's planting roses and not vegetables is because that's what he remembers about the cottage, is all the rose bushes. And she sees him as utterly impractical. There's not a turnip or an onion or whatever anywhere around here. More roses. Good grief. It's like, yeah, this is her not understanding his heritage, where he doesn't get it with her dowry.
Yep.
Because obviously, with the amount of money he paid for the cottage and what he made as a boxer, he's like, we don't need to grow turnips. We can go buy them.
And that is a beautiful cottage.
And by the way, there's a single song that's used in this film, and I thought it was actually at first, I thought it was the famous 7th Cavalry song, the Gary Owen. And it's not. It's called The Rakes of Mallow. And it's such a beautiful song. Hard to find on bagpipes, though. They've got these recordings, and they usually mix it with other songs because it's such a short song. Martin, I'm going to put a version of it in the private chat. There we go. Because it is a great song. And there are like several Irish songs that are played throughout this film.
Okay.
Yeah, my favorite moment in the film is where they understand each other at the end. Right after the fight, he gets the money from the brother after he threatens to give her back. You can have her back. You promised me a dowry. So he gives him the money, and then he walks towards the urn, and she runs over and opens the front hatch of the urn, and he throws it into the fire. And I'm like, there you go. They are understanding each other now.
Yep. And she says, I'll have dinner waiting for you when you get home.
I'll have dinner waiting for you when you get home.
Yes. She realizes he's not a coward, is what it is.
What, Martin?
I got it ready, but it's a solid 2 minutes and a half.
No, we're just going to play the first part of it.
Well,
I just want to play about the first 40 seconds.
Okay, I won't be able to hear it, so you tell me when to stop. Do you want me to bring it out? Oh, nah. There we go.
There we go. It plays through the film. It's interlaced inside the soundtrack composition for the film, and I love that song. Sounds even better with pipes and bagpipes and drums.
The priest is so focused on getting that fish. Let me be, woman.
I'll tell you in the old Irish. Tell you in the Irish. And then she starts speaking Gaelic, almost like she hasn't spoken for a while, and then she starts really going with it. Well, and people don't know that Maureen O'Hare is from Ireland.
Yeah, and did speak Gaelic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she probably hadn't spoken it in a while.
Well, she'd been in America for a bit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, she did speak it when she was a child. She spoke it fluently.
Help. There he is. Oh my God, he thinks he is the fish. And she's over there. She's going to help. Oh my God.
Waiters? We don't need no stinking waiters. He just goes in his clothes.
And that look on her face right here when he loses the fish, he knows it's her fault.
Yes.
He's been trying to catch that fish for a while.
10 years.
10 years, he said. Yes. And if you've ever fished for a trout that has found a big trout that's found a pool in a river and it stays there. My first wife spent an hour and a half bouncing lures off of a trout's nose on a river in Massachusetts before it finally got irritated enough to bite at one of the lures. It stayed right underneath her. It just wouldn't bite anything.
Yeah, Barry was already a movie star when he agreed to do this film. And it made him happy because they all got to go to Ireland. I love that style of old Irish pub. Dark wood, tall ceiling. They'll either have wood ceilings or they'll have the printed tin plates all up along there. I love that shit. Always wanted to own one. Served pub food, fish and chips, meat pies. You've got 20 pounds on him. Saying that he's bigger and heavier than John Wayne's character. A lot of them don't know his boxing background.
Well, John Wayne said that the fight was done intentionally stylized, throwing almost entirely roundhouse punches rather than effective punches.
Yep. And if anybody would know that, it's John Wayne, because John Wayne was a brawler. Yep. His favorite thing to do, I'm not kidding, to get his friends together, which included Ward Bond, to go down south of the border to a bar and then get into fights. And there were a couple of guys that hung out with him, later said, we stopped hanging out with him. There were way too many brawls.
It sounds like John Wayne and Oliver Reed would have gotten along famously.
Probably. And that's where he points out that he knows who he is. Makes him uncomfortable. It's a good scene. And I got to admit, it's one of the best roles that Wayne ever played. I mean, his three greatest roles were, number one for me is the Searchers as Ethan. He is so good in that fucking movie. Second favorite is this film. My third favorite is The Shootist. John, what's his character's name? Brooke or Book?
What about True Grit? Rooster
Cogburn. I loved it as a kid, but as I got older, there was something cartoonish about it that I didn't like, that I thought was done better later when the brothers made their film with Jeff Bridges. It's still one of my favorite films of all time. Don't get me wrong, but I don't consider that as one of his best performances. But he's good in it. He's likable. He's playing against who he is, against what he's always played. But so is this. Yeah. This is playing opposite. The Searchers, he's playing a character that's way darker than anything he's ever done before. In many ways, he's almost a villain in the film, Searchers. And in The Shootist, oddly, I think he plays probably the closest version to himself as a person. Don't underestimate Danaher. He warns him. And he's much taller than his brother, Barry. But he's got the same nose and chin. It's your typical Irish mug. Square jaw. I mean, there's no way to mistake where my father, my priest, is from. Look at that face. That's fucking Irish as day is long. In fact, that look is so common, that face shape, so common. I don't know, it kind of made me wonder if there was a little inbreeding in Ireland, because it's so common. Are you guys still here?
Yep.
Yeah.
I started feeling like I'm the only one here. I'm all by myself watching this movie.
Oh, poor thing.
Hey, National Trails is here. Yeah, but it's not good for the show when nobody's talking.
I'm trying to be here, but I get coughing fits, and also my energy is leaving me. So,
oh, that's Anima and me sitting down for coffee.
I would never wear lipstick like that, though.
Your lips are red enough anyway.
And when I'm sitting on your lap, I'm not that tall. I look like a kid on your lap.
And this is this moment where you think, oh, are they going to get better and get over this? You know, get past some of this? And then she fucking leaves the next morning. She's gone.
That irritated me that she runs off to go to Dublin. Why? That was, even for a female, that was very irrational.
Where's me tea? Save your breath, boy. She's gone from you. Small wonder. No, everybody's watched the movie. All of us have watched it.
I don't know. I've seen it multiple times. Time for the Dublin train.
You're doing
No,
a great
boy.
actor.
I've seen that
Great
look.
job.
I've had that look.
Yep.
I've
So
seen
have
that
I.
look from you, Gary. More than once.
Most of the people who've seen that look. See it.
Dum dum did it dum dum. He starts
Yes,
humming
he
the-
starts singing the song you played, the music you
Yeah.
played.
the rakes of mallow.
The Rakes of Mallow, yes.
Dum 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 did dum dum.
Yes, and he's getting this big grin on his face, like, I think we finally got him.
Mhm. And of course, this leads to the big scene. Him dragging her, first of all, and he did drag her through manure. There was sheep manure all over the place.
Yep.
And she hauls out to swing at him, and he ducks it, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
I will say though that he leaves the horse
Yes.
because he's there for his wife, and I love the way she ducks down in the boxcar. She ducks down so he won't see her. And he saw her.
And did you notice she leaves her bag behind?
Mm-hmm.
So his horse and her bag are both still at the train station when
Right.
when they leave to walk back. It's only 5 miles, a nice stretch of the legs.
It's a good 20-minute walk, or as I should say, brisk dragging.
Yes.
He knows this is going to be good, and here comes the Archbishop.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, it's still gross, but it stinks far less than fucking cow manure.
According to Maureen O'Hara, John Ford refused to allow her to have a rag or a sponge, and she had to wear that on the front of her costume for the rest of the day. She was pissed.
Yeah, but that's an Irishman for you. He's just tossing her around. I love this scene so much.
Ford thought that her losing her shoe was an accident when in fact they had rehearsed it many times.
It was supposed to be spontaneous, the whole scene. But they went
Yeah.
and rehearsed it, yeah.
But they rehearsed her losing her shoe and then figuring out how to get it back on.
She still got bruised from him.
Here's where she
dragging
takes
her
a
like
swing
that.
at him.
Yep. Here's a good stick.
Here's
to
a good
beat the
stick
lovely
to beat the
lady.
lady with.
Funny.
Because a lot of
Seriously?
people don't know that that's a tradition in Ireland and Scotland to spank your women like children when
As
they
long as
misbehave.
it's thinner than your thumb, something like that.
Yeah, it's like
Well, that's
the rule of-
Boston.
the rule of thumb is, the
Yeah.
rule of thumb. That's where that comes from.
When I lived in Massachusetts, it was still on the books that a man could take his wife to Boston Common on a Sunday and beat her with a stick not more than 1 inch in diameter.
Yeah, it can't be thicker than your thumb. And but of course, in the movie Boondock Saints, they take it a step further when he looks at the big woman, the giant, monstrous woman. It says, maybe with you it should be rule of wrist. Oh man. I came in to read the paper. I don't wish to see a fight. Oh, this fight. I must go see the fight. Got the whole damn village following him.
Yep. And everyone's from the train station.
It's a very small village, so they don't have shit like that happen very often. So everybody wants to see it. That one dude, the fourth older brother, he even gets up from his deathbed because he doesn't want to miss out on the action.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ford's older brother, right?
They are reading prayers, and his, I think, daughter is sobbing, sitting on the bed, and he just gets up, gets dressed, and runs out to the street. I like the humor of this movie.
Now, this is the part she wasn't expecting. He throws her to his feet when he refuses to give him the money, the dowry. Look at that. Look, she's giving him what?
Yeah, I like that line. Oh, the IRA is involved with this? If the IRA had ever been involved with you, Danaher, there wouldn't be one blackened rock of your house still standing.
That's right. He throws her over there. She goes, what? Do you mean it?
Your rules.
Your rules. Here's your dirty money. Take it. And she grabs it. He walks over. And she runs to the door. Oh, my God. Opens the door for him to throw it in. And that's it. That's the moment. They are now husband and wife.
That's right.
And you can
Let me
tell
go home
Victor
now. I'll have to
McLaughlin is planning to punch him. He's got that hand down at his side, almost already in a fist. It's like, oh, man, he's going to try to sucker punch him again like he did before and knocked him out. Not going to work this time. He's ready for it. Well, sort of. So it wouldn't be a fair fight if they both didn't connect. And John Wayne is probably one of the best, because he came up as a stuntman. A lot of people don't know that. So he learned how to punch the Hollywood way. And it really looks like he connects when he throws punches. And I love that. Harrison Ford was taught that, and he did it in Raiders, but God, he's terrible at fights in movies.
Yeah.
That part terrified me, by the way, when they fight in the hay, and then when it stops, one of the guys picks up a pitchfork out of the hay. Like, oh, fuck, that could have been dangerous. I mean, you don't want to land on that thing.
Yeah, it's John Wayne that finds it. Sees the prongs,
yeah,
pulls it out, and throws it.
Yep.
Right here. That's where he grabs it. I could have landed on that. The Marquis of Queensberry rules.
No.
You heard it, Danaher. The Marquis of Danaher rules. On the splashing him in the face twice.
He calls
twice
it
they splash him in the face in this. Yeah.
Didn't he call it
Marquis.
the Marquis of Queensberry?
It's the Marquis, but yeah.
No, I know how the French pronounce it, but the Irishman here, I think he calls him the Marquis
even in America,
of Queensberry.
We learned to say Marquis. But here's the funny thing is later on, a little cartoon came out called Mike Tyson Adventures. And one of the characters in it is the Marquis of Queensberry. And they play him as gay. And I thought that was hilarious. Come get up, Marcus of Queensberry. And reinforcements. And all of the men of the cloth are betting.
Yes.
And having fun when they shouldn't. But that's Ireland for you.
Oh, I wholly agree with you. It's a nice fight scene. Very polite to each other, too. I love that. And if you didn't recognize the guy that's in the fight with the young man, that's Festus from Gunsmoke. A lot of people don't know that he came up as a singer. He used to sing hillbilly music. Here's the scene that you love so much where he gets up out of his deathbed.
That was just hilarious.
His eyes get
Everybody's
huge and he
already
jumps up out of
grieving.
that bed.
Yeah, he's like, oh, fuck that. I can die later. I'm not going to miss this. Finally, some action here.
And that's Maureen O'Hara's brother that plays the younger priest there. I always forget his name, but I know his face when I see him.
The priest even jump over the fence.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Ken Curtis. Ken Curtis is that actor's name that played Festus. Great actor.
Yes, it's her duty. It's her duty. But he doesn't stop it. He just look at the fight.
Because he stopped the fight earlier. And if he had just let the fight happen, this scene might not have ever happened.
Right.
You know, it would have been over. But he stopped the fight. So he's learned a lesson. Don't stop this fight. And I love the gag of the splashing with water. And Thornton always says, thanks.
People
So
about
now
it
they're going to take a break.
Bus.
Yeah. Now they're going to take a break, go in and have some Guinness.
And it looks friendly until it comes to paying, because that's when he starts fighting again.
You're not paying for a damn thing. Neither of you have to pay. It's on the house. I'll not have your money either. And he gets angry at the bartender. This guy never interrupts reading his newspaper.
Nope.
You know, I've taken quite a liking to you.
Yeah, that's what you think they're finally
Your
making
widow,
up,
me,
but,
your
you know.
widow, me sister. She could have done a lot worse. I fucking love that line. Splashed again. There's another gag of the splashing. Jesus Christ. They just kept splashing him. What time is it? 5:30, sir. And then he just belts him right in the fucking face. Hollywood punch. Looks like he connects. He didn't. He was like an inch or two away. Yeah, Wayne learned that trick, and that's why his fight scenes always look so good.
He couldn't punch him. The dude was old. Like when he knocks him into the river, that was not a stunt guy.
Stuntman.
No, not a stunt guy. Somebody's son did it.
Somebody's
Not a
son did it.
professional stunt guy.
He's
I
too
forgot.
old.
There's too many family connections on this movie. Yeah, but somebody stood in for him for that, because.
And there she is at home because she has supper ready. And now they come back drunk after the fight's over. And she just has the happiest look on her face. But I did find it odd that there's not another setting for her. Like, I
she
guess.
She was planning to eat with her husband only.
Oh,
But
you
why she
think?
doesn't-
Okay.
Why she
That's
doesn't
it.
pull up a third chair for herself? That's weird, because she just goes into the waiter mode on them.
Well, she's just so happy now that she has her family
Yeah, I guess.
under one roof.
But that was supposed to be a one-on-one meal.
Industry. What a quaint little village.
I want us all to cheer like Protestants. Now,
Yes,
spread
I
out.
recall. He's the groom that gets into the fist fight in The Searchers, for that fight scene with Ward Bond there. Oh crap! I misspelled it. There we go. Thank you, IMDb, for recognizing what word I meant to spell.
And now it's their turn in the coach.
Yeah, this John Ford had his regulars that he worked with: Harry Carey Jr., Hank Worden, John Quaylen. Love John Quaylen, man. Ken Curtis plays Charlie McCory in the film, The Searchers. Really good in it.
Now,
She's
you know,
didn't she play his wife in North to Alaska?
wait a minute,
I could
Gary.
swear that she played his wife.
That scene where they're waving, Maureen O'Hara turns to John Wayne and says something in his ear. John Ford told her, say this to him or something like that. And she said, I can't say that to John Wayne. He said, I need a reaction from him. Say it. And she said, okay, but as long as you and John promise me that what I say to him will never come out. And she turned to him and she said it into his ear. You can't hear it on the soundtrack. And he turns to her, looks at her with a surprised look on his face. And then she throws the stick away. And to my knowledge, no one has ever found out what she said to him.
My
Wayne,
assumption was that it's something akin to, now, let's go make a baby.
right.
I don't think she would use the F word. I just don't
No.
see that. But
No.
For that, I think that would have been enough to catch him off guard. Now let's go make a baby. Because that look on his is like, okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. Was it North to Alaska? I'm thinking, no, it's not North to Alaska. Although I do love that movie. What was it? There's a movie where they have a big scene with a lot of mud and they're in a fight. And I thought it was North to Alaska and she was his wife. But I may be thinking of the wrong film. By the way, found out something interesting this week about John Wayne. And a lot of people, I would say a majority of people have no clue. Do you know what the last film you heard John Wayne's voice in never heard before? Seen?
No. Enlighten us.
Star Wars, also known as Star Wars A New Hope.
Fuck.
The sound that they sped up and altered for that spy that tells the stormtroopers there's somebody over in this one bay doing something with the insect and he had the trunk nose. That was John Wayne's voice, augmented. From a scene, it was an outtake that nobody had ever seen before.
Huh,
and
nice.
Ben Burtt got a hold of it and used it in the movie. So technically the last film that John Wayne appeared in by voice was Star Wars.
Fascinating.
That's it. McClintock, as he calls it. It's McClintock, but he pronounces it McClintock, which drove me fucking crazy watching the movie. I also like the movie Chisholm. The Undefeated. Oh my God. So many fucking movies here that I love. El Dorado, which was just one of the many remakes. Let's see. He has the
remake of
weirdest
what?
scene in The Greatest Story Ever Told. The one with Max von Sydow as Jesus. And John Wayne's the centurion. It stands there at the end and says, he truly was the Son of God. It's like, it's so weird. Always threw me off. I mean, that's John Wayne. Donovan's Reef is not the greatest film Ford ever made, but I do love that film. It's a film with Lee Marvin and John Wayne because they were close friends. Let's see. Chero's Wagon Train. Yeah, he made an appearance in Wagon Train because his friend was in it. He played Tecumseh Sherman. Let's see. Horse Soldiers was great, but I'm not seeing it. McClintock. What year did that come out? Oh, I found it. Here it is. Never mind. 1963. And that's Maureen O'Hara, and he spanks her in the movie for misbehaving. The dirty side of John Wayne smacking around that gorgeous redhead. Smack that ass. Nobody. Am I alone again? You guys are so fucking quiet.
No, you're talking about some
You
shit
three
that I
are like
haven't
the
seen.
worst. You three are the worst people to hang out with at a party. I can
I
tell you
tried to-
right now.
I tried to ask a question. I couldn't get in it edgewise. I put it in the private chat.
Oh, let me see. What movie remake is El Dorado? I'm not sure which order it is, but let me go look. Because John Wayne made it 3 times with 2 different directors, and eventually, you know, they were hoping to get it right. Because first it was with Dean Martin, and then he remade it again with Robert Mitchum, and then they made it again as a Civil War film, but it's still the same story.
Well, El Dorado has.
Is that the first one
Robert,
or the second one? That's the
El
one with Mitchum.
Dorado
It's-
has Robert Mitchum in it, and I'm not sure whether it has Dean Martin. I can't remember off the top.
No,
of my
Dean
head.
Martin
It's
is
been
in
a
the
long
first
time.
one. So I'm trying to find it. Rio Bravo.
Rio Bravo.
Rio Bravo
okay.
is the first film directed by Howard Hawks. And they thought they could get it better, do it again and get it better, because they felt there were certain things in there that just didn't work right. So they remade the film with Robert Mitchum, and they got what's his name, James Caan, as the
Yep.
young kid instead of a popular little rock singer. And they made El Dorado. Trying to find it again.
Well, I like El Dorado because it has one thing in common with the Magnificent Seven. It's the one. It's the only 2 movies I've seen where bringing a knife to a gunfight worked.
Yeah, right. Because Coburn threw the knife and killed the dude at the beginning.
Yes.
And in
And-
this one, Jimmy Caan doesn't carry a gun. He's not good with them. So that's why John Wayne gives him a sawed-off shotgun later. And he ends up
'cause he's
shooting
so-
John Wayne.
Yes.
John Wayne's
in the
character
ass.
gets shot in the ass by him.
I was like, Jay, how would you like to be able to dine out as an actor, being able to tell
Right.
people I shot John Wayne in the ass with a shotgun?
Well, that really hurt another actor's career, because he kills John Wayne in The Cowboys. Is 1970. Where's it at? I got to find it. God, that fucking movie. Cahill, U.S. Marshal. What a great movie. The Cowboys. Here it is, 1972. And Bruce Dern. Yeah, there he is. Bruce Dern was terrified. He had been warned. You know, you get better be careful out in public after this movie comes out, because people are just going to know you as the guy that killed John Wayne.
Right.
Because you don't understand how much Americans love John Wayne. And and he did it. It hurt his career, having been the guy that shot and killed John Wayne on camera. And he thought, I'm a good actor. I'll be okay. And don't get me wrong, he had a good career. I love Bruce Dern. I think he's a fantastic actor. He was just in something recently that I want to see. What is it? Is it Bloodline Killer? No, it might have been that one I saw a promo for. He did a couple of Butch Cassidy movies. He did Butch versus Sundance, and he did another film called Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch. I don't know if they're any good, but it's kind of weird. He did this bizarro film with Val Kilmer called Betwixt Now and Sunrise, written and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It was a pet project of his, and it is just absolute crap. But I still enjoyed watching it because of who's in it. It's like, after their ugly breakup, him and his ex-wife, Joanna Wally, he actually is his ex-wife in the movie, and they have a video chat in the movie that was very uncomfortable, made to be uncomfortable in the movie. And I wondered if they made up or if that was just the real them coming through in that scene. Have you seen that movie, guys?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, you've got to find a copy of it so we can talk about it sometime. Shit on a little bit. It's called Betwixt Now and Sunrise. And it's one of, what's her name? Elle Fanning's first movies when she was younger. And Alden, what's his name? Aaron, right? That played Han Solo in that terrible Solo movie. He's in it. Val Kilmer is basically the main character. You got a really quite a few good actors playing background characters. David Paymer is in it. Tom Waits, who's a good actor and also very good songwriter, performer. Benjamin Chaplin is in it. He's really good in it. But it's a terrible movie. It's just fucking weird. Redshirt, have you seen it?
Seen what?
Betwixt
Typing into chat.
Now and Sunrise.
No, I have not. I've never heard of it.
All right, here we go. I'm going to share it with you guys real quick here so you can see it. Present, share screen. Twix, here it is. It's a Francis Ford Coppola film that he made in the 2000s. Like, what year was it made?
2022.
No.
That's impossible. He has.
I saw this when I was on Elm Street. I saw it when I lived on Elm Street with Zoe, because that's where I saw it. So no, it didn't come out in 2022. He maybe did a re-release. I don't know, but I saw a bootleg copy of it too. So it's a weird film. Bruce Dern's in it. Val Kilmer is the main character. He plays a writer of fiction that's trying to finish a new book and goes to this town and starts having bizarre experiences in this town. Vampirism is included. Really weird shit. Betwixt Now and Sunrise.
It says experience the authentic cut. So yes, this
that's
maybe a re-release.
It's a re-release. Okay, so this version, I'm going to go see if they have another version of it and see what date that is. Because, people are like, Francis Ford Coppola doing horror? And I'm like, what do you think he did to make himself become a director? He learned doing horror. What was it? Nightmare 13 or whatever the fuck that movie was back in the 60s he did?
I don't know.
It was in the 2000s. He was the executive producer on Jeepers Creepers. And what pissed me off is he defended that director who is clearly a pedo. I guess I'm going to have to look under director. There we go. It's not showing up as producer. You guys can talk amongst yourselves while I'm looking.
No. In fact, I had to go.
You had to go to the bathroom?
Well, I have to go. No.
Oh, you have to go to the bathroom.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, it was just called Twixt. The original version, 2011. That's when I lived on Elm Street. That's how I remember movies a lot of times, like where I lived at the time. Lets me know what year it was. So that's the film. And then he re-released it as Betwixt Now and Sunrise. So I've got to go see a version of this film. I got to find it, see if it's any better. Because it was pretty bad. But I couldn't help. I had to watch it. Because it had everybody in that film I love. So anyway, maybe we should cover it on the show sometime, Redshirt.
If we can find it.
It is your homework, both of you.
Okay.
And Anima will watch it with me. Original film was Twixt, and it was bad. But they're saying that this director's cut is better. So I'm looking forward to finding out if that's true. Yeah. I would say watch the director's cut.
That better could easily be more bad.
Yeah. It's even worse. No, here you go. Here you guys go. Here's the link to the YouTube. I'm not YouTube, but to the IMDb page. I just put it in the private chat. So that's it, guys. We've talked ourselves out. Anima's sick as shit over there. All swollen nostrils, can't sleep. She's frustrated. I feel bad for her. Martin is just
I feel bad for me. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, honey. And Martin is just a curmudgeonly old Latino.
Yeah. I won't deny the truth.
I'm the lovable, curmudgeonly white guy, Celt, because I absolutely claim the Celtish blood in my family, because they were
You
a
have
lot of
troll
Celt.
blood.
Very troubled because that one German fucked his way into family. I got stuck with his last name. Son of a bitch. Herr Keisel. Get some rest, Anima Confusa. I agree
I
with you.
will. I
maintenance girl.
will.
And you know what's sad is I can't cuddle her and baby her, because I would be totally doing that if she was here, getting her like.
And he's
"Can you
actually
be
the first person in my life who I want around me when I'm sick. Because even to my own mom, when she tried to care for me, I say, "Thanks for the tea, mom. Now leave me alone."
Go away."
She was
By
a
the way,
nurse.
that's the film. Yes, she was a nurse. It's one of the people that, because I'm not normally excited about meeting people's family, especially when I'm in a relationship with them, because it's usually not a good experience. But I think the way you describe your mom, it sounds like somebody I would have loved to have met.
Absolutely.
But Dementia
She would've-
13 is the film that I was talking about that Francis Ford made back in the 60s. It was a part of an anthology, and he shot that short film for an anthological movie. Produced by Roger Corman. So there you go. I've always been referred to as the fun uncle by all my nieces and nephews.
Speaking of that, my third niece has been born yesterday. in the
Whoa,
morning.
congrats.
I know. She's an
Congrats.
aunt again.
Yeah, I have 4 now, 3 nieces and 1
I
nephew.
know.
And I only
I
know
know,
one
it's
of
great.
them.
And I loved being
They-
an
they
uncle.
live far
Being an
away.
uncle. I was the bad uncle. But I showed Anima a photo the other day that I said, I love this photo because even though it was an awful day for me in many ways when I married Lori, our wedding, my nephew, Jason, God, what a shit he was. He was my little buddy, man. I used to roughhouse with that kid all the time. Squirt gun battles, Nerf wars. And he stood outside the door waiting for me to come out that door, and he had a handful of rice. And everybody's tossing it up in the air. My nephew takes that whole hand of rice, cocks back, and throws it at my face.
I
Hits
was
me
just
here
saying-
so freaking hard.
He must
And in
have
the
had a
photo, you
reason.
can tell in the photo, when you see the photo, I'm just damn it. I'm smiling, but I have that goddamn it look on my face. He's my nephew. He was such a little pain in my ass, but I love him so much. I still do. It's my favorite. He's my favorite nephew. I have some great nephews, but he's the one I was probably got closest to because I spent so much time with him. And the same thing with my niece Lori. I'm super close with her, and I'm close with all my nieces too. It's just for some reason because I was young when they were born, so it was like we kind of grew up together. So I had that playfulness with my nephew Jason to always play with him because I was like 18 when I lived at their house with my sister Luann. So he was my little play buddy. We'd go out there and just have some battles. And oddly, as adults, we're probably the two most alike in the family, my nephew Jason and me. So, but that's it. I'm not talking about family. Once again, great photo. I hope if we do our wedding photo that we have that same expressions on our face. I don't know if Adam is even here anymore.
I am, kind of, sort of.
And Father
I'm
Ween
here.
says, get you feeling better.
As Martine would say, what's left of me is here.
And you know that whole whining thing? That comes from him. You know, because I'm always knock off the whining thing. He's the one who started that shit with me when I was a kid. Oh, it sounds awful. Would you like to whine some more?
Yeah, when I told him I was sick, he was like, "Oh, would you like to add whining to the symptoms?" My loving, caring fiance.
What is this
Okay.
photo? Oh, that was from the other night. That's good. And again, here's that place. It's now, they turned it into a pub because of the movie.
Yep.
And a pub means public house.
I'd love to go there.
I definitely want to. I've even said sometimes I'd like to have some of my ashes left in Ireland. Throw it in somebody's face. It'll be funny.
Well, that's just one more place.
I want you to meet my husband. And just
Gary,
throw the
that's-
ash in their face.
That's
Wow.
just one more place over there that we want to go to because we both agree we definitely want to go to the village where they filmed Doc Martin.
Yes, that's in Wales. That's near
Yeah.
Cornwall. That's where that is where the famous pirate accent comes from, is Cornwall. So, but that's it, guys. We're gonna get the hell out of here. Thanks for being here today, Red Shirt. Appreciate it. I'm sorry we couldn't have Mephisto here because I don't know if he's ever even seen this movie, because I always enjoy it when he comes on talking about movies. And between the three of us, that'd be an entertaining show. So, but that's it, guys. I hope everybody had a good time. I guess I could show this clip one
Here,
more
Will.
time.
Put on your coat. Will, Danaher, they're coming to the front door.
Well, since when is...
I love that fucking movie. All right, guys. Everybody have a good Wednesday. Don't forget it's hump day, so make sure you do your due diligence and hump somebody. Make sure that it's an adult, because doing the other thing would be criminal. Please don't do that. And shock your animal. Return the favor. If you got a dog that does that, do it back. See what he does.
Rather not.
I told you what Mike Beatty said to me a long time ago, back in the 80s. We were sitting there, and I was complaining because we had this beagle that was really humpy. And I said, yes, thing just keeps humping my leg. And he looked at me and goes, well, you know how to stop that, don't you? No. He goes, pick it up and suck your dick. Then everybody fell apart, and I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck? Then he started laughing. He goes, it'll stop. Like, you're a weird motherfucker. Here's the Mike Beatty. So that's it, guys. Spank the like button. Yeah. Don't forget to leave a comment if you have a movie that you want us to cover. Make sure to put that in a comment below the video. Also, when you comment, I look at every single comment and I'll respond to them one way or another. And I've had some dicks leave comments, and then I'll make a dickish remark back and leave it at that. I don't care. I think it's funny when people are assholes to me. I'm like, okay. This would have been a show if Gary hadn't been talking the whole time. Like, thanks, Dick. So that's it. Just Another Red Shirt. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at J_A_redshirt. At J_A_redshirt.
Red Shirt. Okay. All right. A lot of underscores. So you guys can watch them on YouTube. You can follow them on Twitter. I follow them on both. So, and we're in groups together. Both of us are on Toxic Tuesday, even though I wasn't there last night because I went to bed. I was exhausted. Long day yesterday. I was asleep before 9 o'clock. Like somewhere between 7 and 8, I think I fell asleep. When I woke up next, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. So, but you can always catch him on there, Toxic Tuesday. Yep. And then occasionally on here when he's actually seen one of the movies and wants to talk about it, which I enjoyed. I like when you pop in. What are we doing Saturday, by the way? I forgot.
We haven't figured that out yet because Evolution is set up and we can't
Supposed to
do
be
that
Tom
without
this.
the dude.
I think this is supposed to be Tom's weekend again. I'm going to check with him. Are you going to be here this weekend?
Well, it was last weekend, so I don't know. But we
I'll find out.
set
Yeah,
up
we-
and that needs to be pushed.
It needs to be moved, clearly, because we can't get the guest. He's not available right now. The guy who did the creature effects for the movie. We're going to have him
What
on as a
movie
guest.
are we going to talk about then? We need to pick one.
I just said I don't know. I'm going to talk to Tom. And for Friday, do we have anything picked for Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Professional. We watched that yesterday.
Ah, Le Professionnel. Yes. With Jean Reno. I'm not fond of the theatrical cut because of one scene in it, but we'll still do the thing. I prefer the American cut. So, but anyway.
I think we could get our hands on, so.
Frenchmen and their loose morals when it comes to a relationship between an adult and a child.
He is blocking her all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's not the actor, it's the director.
I know.
The
actor
director
was
is the
very
one who
much
wrote
against
it.
it.
Yeah. And I'm so glad he was, because that says a lot about Jean Reno. So, but anyway, we are out of here, guys. Have a great.
We have
rest
a
of your
question.
day. Oh yeah.
Oh, we put it up at the same time, Martin. We are going to do a special show.
I am going to
Christmas
do.
movie.
I'm going to do 2 solid Christmas films plus another Christmas film, because we are going to do Die Hard, the first film.
Oh yeah.
Because whether people like it or not, it is part of the theme, and it doesn't work the same without Christmas. That's how you can say it's a Christmas film. That if you took Christmas out of it, it would be a completely different movie. And that's
That'll
what
be December
would happen.
21st. What's the other one?
I want to do George C. Scott's Christmas Carol. I think it is, in my personal opinion, the best Christmas Carol. I love all of them, but that's my favorite.
Is that the one that we watched?
I don't remember. So then the other one I want to do is a film that is so important to me. It got me through Zoe's kidnapping. Is the movie Family Man with Nicolas Cage, and I think it's a wonderful Christmas film. It falls right in there with Christmas Carol, because it deals with a what if scenario, almost like A Wonderful Life. So I don't know what that symbol is.
That's a emoji parting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Party
okay.
hat and one of these annoying paper things that when you blow in, they just roll out and make a noise.
So those are the 3 Christmas films I plan to do. The 1980 blah blah blah. I don't remember which year. 85, I think. Christmas Carol, George C. Scott. I want to do Family Man, and I want to do Die Hard for our Christmas films.
What? No Gremlins?
We could do that. In fact, I'll talk to Tom if he wants to do that for Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to talk to Tom, guys, and I'll find out. And you guys will see, because I'll post about it, or Anima will. So everybody have a great Wednesday, and thanks for coming to watch the show. And we will catch y'all later. I hope you learned something about this movie. I hope we give you some good trivia. So take care, and we'll see you on Friday. All right. Bye, y'all. This episode was brought to you by Massingale Douche. How did anybody use it? Because Gary's a big douche.